Hello, fellow light keepers. I'm so glad you're here. I'm Kimberly Katherine and have such a great episode for you today. As I said in my last episode, I'm approaching my 1 year anniversary of my podcast. I'm 4 weeks out. And as the date gets closer, I am reflecting on all the growth I've had in this last year. It's kind of funny. When I started my podcast, I thought, "Oh, I'm so good. I'm so healed." When I reflect back, I was still kind of deep in it. I was in the last 100 miles of the deep healing. Had some other things in my life that were closing out, and some other life changes that were changing who I am as a person in a good way, as a mom, as a family member, and just as a human being here. So, just a couple things. First of all, I just want to say how much I am really loving, again, my Mother's Day box from Stanford Shopping Mall, the L'Occitane Cream Lotion. So, I'm going to put a little bit on that as I'm talking to you. A little update on my alarm clock. I ordered the alarm clock from, if you listened last week, to be more present and have my phone outside of my bedroom. So I did order it. Here it is. It's the tin load. There you go. And I love it. Love it, love it, love it. I do not miss my phone in my bedroom. I've been going to bed more consistently because my phone is not in my bedroom. I'm sleeping through the night, actually, a little bit more. I did wake up this morning pretty early. I was kind of awake and I was like, oh, it's good I don't have my phone there. So I just kind of shut my eyes, tried to meditate and just kind of really focus on going back to sleep. Then I woke up pretty early. I got up at about 5 this morning. I said, you know what? I've got things I'm going to do with my business. So I'm going to feel good about this. And that just means I'll either rest my eyes or take a little nap or just go to bed really early tonight. But I love, 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 love having the old school alarm clock in my bedroom. Highly recommend it. And you can still set those other alarms for your other meetings during the day, but let me tell you, it is a game changer for starting your day. Kind of nice and zen. I got all that lotion all creamed into my hands. I love that stuff. L'Occitane. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about presence because that's kind of what I've been talking about. And again, being present is where we want to be because it keeps our nervous system at in a good place, and that's all part of healing. So Friday, I went to acupuncture. Now, acupuncture has been a big part of my healing. I did acupuncture. I'm trying to think here. It was probably, oh my goodness, 15 years ago, I think, something like that. Oh my gosh, maybe 16 years ago. And I would drive a mile each way. I would drive, not a mile, I'm sorry. I would drive an hour each way. An hour to the session, it would be about 2 hours. Go get a juice, a fresh juice, and go to a juice bar, and then an hour home. So it was a whole like thing. It was 4 hours, and I would do that 5 to 6 days a week. I had had some MS stuff going on, and I had shingles, and I was really not doing well. So I was pretty dedicated, did that for 2.5 years, and it really, really, really helped me. It got everything back in check and just kind of really helped my whole system. And it was just a whole thing. And then I kind of went down to 3 times a week and then maybe once a week and then just kind of maintenance here and there. And then about 3 years ago, it was actually pretty often. I would go at least once a week, sometimes twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week. And then most recently, I have an amazing acupuncturist. She's phenomenal. But I kind of weaned off because I was just really doing great. And I was focusing on another modality, which is for healing, which is, I've talked about it, the somatic work. And that's really going up to the subconscious level and reprogramming and yeah. So and it's also helping with being present and not reacting, not responding. So that container, I've been doing that for about 16 months. It's been phenomenal. I love it. And probably do another container, take a little break. But I thought, I'm going to go do some acupuncture because I've been going maybe once every 3 months now, not that much. Went on Friday. This practitioner is amazing. And we're catching up, laying down, and she's starting to put the needles in. And I got one zinger in my foot. And I usually do get zingers in the foot, but this one was like, woo. And I said, ooh, what's that? And she's like, oh, that's the liver stress. So had an amazing treatment. And then afterwards I went up to her and I said, hey, I'm just so curious. I've been doing all this deep somatic work for like 16 months. And, I'm just, and I walk and I meditate and I do all these things and I move my body. And I guess I was kind of surprised that I had such a zinger in there and, and with that needle. And she said, you know what? She said, our body stores stress and it can only let it out at a certain pace because otherwise our body would just be in overload. And it makes so much sense to me. And I was like, oh, I keep just wanting to get to the finish line. I just keep wanting it. Like I do like all these things and I go all in and then I want it to be done. It's like, okay, I've arrived. I'm at the finish line. That's the runner in me. Oh, no, no, that's not the way it works. Healing is layered and it's ongoing. And I'm the delivery of the news of that. But yes, it's ongoing and it's layered. And it's really not just one thing. I mean, you could do one modality for a while to really just deep dive in, but that's why it's a good idea to do multiple things. So, as I'm kind of winding down a little bit from this some deep somatic work I've been doing, I'm going to do it, but just taking a little break. Started doing the gardening again, which is definitely healing. I was out in my garden today and tending to all the rose bushes. The mold has taken over. And doing some trimming, some pruning, some feeding. I ordered some new pruners and some more stuff for the bugs and the mold, more food. Kind of exciting. All that stuff's going to arrive tomorrow, the next day. And that is so healing. Just being out in the garden, being with the bees, and all the products I use are non-toxic. So they work. They're not like super, super duper, but I want the bees in there. And I do get a lot of bees and a lot of butterflies. So kind of excited about that. And then, of course, walking and running and meditating. Had an amazing meditation today online with a group of Dr. Joe Dispenza people. That was so powerful. But yeah, isn't it? It's just we don't arrive, we regulate, we notice, we release, and we evolve. So when I look back at a year ago and I was looking at some of my podcasts and I was like, wow, pretty, pretty, pretty amazing. I was so nervous when I started and putting myself out there, being on film and telling my story. And I'm so appreciative for all of my listeners here. Thank you for being here to my tried and true and all my new listeners. And this is all about finding that inner light in the storm and maintaining it because we can get through the storm and then it's maintaining that and it's maintaining your presence and your state of calm and your nervous system. So as I said before, I usually have commercials. I have different affiliates, but this month I'm doing my commercials are for me. So here's the commercial for me. My commercial is I'm running a special for my 1 year anniversary, and you can book online. The code is choose me, and that's because my first step back to me was I chose myself, and I put my running shoes on and I went out and started running along the ocean. So you can use choose me for choose me 60, and that's for a 60-minute session, or choose me 90 for a 90-minute session. And you can go online there and find the prices. pretty exciting. And also, I'd like you to subscribe. Well, if you want to, subscribe to email and you can get my newsletters. I have some more exciting things about my 1 year anniversary. And if this resonates with you, maybe forward it to somebody, like or share, and all of that helps keep my podcast going. So back to the content. So I've been doing an experiment with being present, and that's going to coffee shops and being off my phone. So let's see. Let's highlight 3 visits this week. Well, the first one, I was in the coffee shop and ordered what I wanted, and I was full on in. I said, "Oh, forgot about my experiment." So I think I got probably about a 30 out of a 100 if I were a college student. Yeah. Oh well, failing. But that's okay because, there's always retakes. And in my college, my school, I can do retakes. So, I was like, So I did a retake. I went again the next day. And I was conscious and I knew that I was not going to be on my phone and did pretty well. Wasn't on my phone. I looked at the menu, didn't look at it online, went up there, ordered, waited, and just looked at the merchandise because isn't that always fun in the coffee shops? They always have fun things. They always have fun, current, new mugs and those things. I love that. And always some new fun seasonal coffee or coffee drink. It's always fun to kind of read about it. So I stayed present and went and took a seat again, had a little snack, had a little fun coffee drink, not too much sugar. And it was fun just to kind of observe all the people on their phones. And if they weren't on their phone, usually the men, they pull it out of their back pocket and then start looking at it. Isn't it so funny how it's just become so normal? Pull out that phone and hey, I'm right there with it. I'm not holier than thou. I've got to consciously go in there to be present and unwind that. So, just thought that was kind of fun. My third visit, actually, I was part of the screen crowd. I'm going to call them screen crowds, the SC, because I had my backpack and I had 2 screens with me. I had my laptop and my phone because I met a really good friend of mine and she's helping me with systems. So I was just kind of doing different analysis and cleaning out some stuff. So I was one of those who was in a coffee shop with a friend. Both of us had our screens up. And I got her 2 large coffees. I got myself, first I started with a herbal tea because I can only do 1 caffeine a day. Otherwise unless I run at least 6 miles. And I knew that wasn't going to be in the cards yesterday. So I did a herbal tea, and then even my latte was decaf because I was just but we were there for quite some time. And I got to tell you, the guy next to me, he had his screen up. He was all unpacked. He was taking up 4 seats. Another 2 other people at tables, they had their screens up. I mean, like full on computer screens. So, the challenge continues and I'm getting better. It's all about awareness, right? And maybe this week, I think I'm going to do that. Maybe this week I'm going to put a little sticky on top of my phone and say something like, "Do you really need to open me?" Yeah, do you really need to open me? And I'll give you a little recap next week, something to look forward to and come back and listen to. So thank you so much again for being here, all my fellow light keepers. I'm so appreciative. As I approach my 1 year anniversary and reflect back to where I was then, where I've come, so exciting. And I am lining up some other interviews. So you'll want to stick around. I'll give you updates on that. I have some good people in the queue. And again, like I said, if this resonates with you, please like and subscribe. That really helps keep my podcast going. And maybe write a great review. Thank you so much. Make it a beautiful day and look forward to seeing you next week.